Good morning, guys. Welcome back for another week at school vlog. I was pretty excited to wake up this morning because it snowed pretty much all day yesterday, and it was the first snow of the season. And when I woke up this morning, it actually had stuck to the ground, so I'll show you guys. I was pretty excited about that because I love pretty much every season, and it's very exciting at the beginning of every new season. I also love to wear sweaters and be cozy, so obviously this is the perfect time for that. Anyway, it is Monday, and a couple of weeks ago I came up with like a system to help me organize and have specific tasks for my planning periods, and I had decided that Mondays were for grading. I do think that my plans are done for the week. Tomorrow I'll probably have to spend some time making copies. I just don't feel like doing that today, and yeah, I'll just do it tomorrow. Anyway, this is the stack of papers that I want. Oh, I missed one. This is the stack of papers that I want to get into the grade book today if I'm really on top of it. Then I would also like to get this stack done. That's actually not everything, but I've kind of got it broken up so I could grade this today, and then I have a smaller stack for tomorrow, and I already said tomorrow I would also have to make copies. So I'm going to eat my yogurt bowl and work on some of these grading items while I do that. All right, we made it to lunch, and I didn't even tell you guys what we were doing today in my classes. So first, my freshmen submitted an essay last week, and that was on like Thursday. So Friday we kind of did a random activity. The next unit that we're starting is night, and so today they had just this web quest. I did do it on paper. I definitely could have done it online, but I found it as a PDF, so I just printed it and then they just searched the website. That's what my freshmen did. My sophomores, we started reading Frankenstein like a week and a half ago, I think. Actually, I think it was on Tuesday last week. So my sophomores, both my advanced and standard class, they read chapter 4 today, which is a really disturbing chapter to read because it's where Victor Frankenstein starts to like build the creature. So we talked about what that meant and what his materials were, and it's just a disturbing chapter. And then during my study hall, I made this sheet because we were going to read chapter 5 today, the first couple paragraphs where he actually brings the creature to life, except we did not get that far because chapter 4 was long. But we read chapter 4, and then I have this sheet, and on one side they were supposed to draw what they think the creature looks like and maybe have some like description. They think that he's green because that's traditionally what people think that he looks like. And then tomorrow when we read the first couple paragraphs of chapter 5, they will draw and color the real version of the creature, like what he actually looks like according to Mary Shelley. And they'll have to use textual details on those lines. That's what we did and are doing today. And that's pretty much what my whole day looks like. I've only graded one class period of the whole stack that I was gonna grade. And today's just a day where I only have a few minutes, so I might stay for a little bit after school to get some grading done, and then I'll just go home after that. But now it's time for lunch, and I have a fun lunch today. I will show you. Last night we made pizza, and so we had leftovers, and so that's what I brought for lunch. Usually while I eat lunch, I sometimes stare at a wall or I read, but I was waiting in line at the microwave for a while, so I actually only have like literally 10 minutes left of lunch, so I'll probably just stare at a wall today. It's 3:12 now, and I showed you guys earlier the like stacks of papers that I wanted to grade, and there were 2 different worksheets, and one of the worksheets my advanced sophomores and standard sophomores completed. So I had 5 class periods of them, and then the other worksheet, there were only for my standard classes, so there are 3 sets of those, if that makes any sense. The one that all of my classes did, so there were 5 different sets of them, I did finish grading those. And I'm trying to organize them so I can put them in the pass back trays. So all of this is done. I'm gonna have to save the other ones for tomorrow. Today was just a day that I didn't have any like desk time. I didn't have any time to sit down and work on some things. I usually try to schedule like at least one day a week, maybe I guess every other week, where my students are working on something that allows me to sit down and put some grades in. Just because I try not to stay too late after contract hours. Again, it's like almost 3:15 right now. Contract hours were over at 2:55. But it just makes me feel better when I get a little bit of work done. Since I got those graded into the grade book, I kind of was able to clear my desk out a little bit. I have my papers in this top tray are for me to grade this week. And then this is the stack that I'm gonna go ahead and put in the pass back tray. And now that that's done, let's go ahead and finish cleaning up my classroom. And I do have to show you guys, my Christmas tree is up. I went ahead and put it up on Friday because I knew that we were possibly going to get some snow, and I didn't expect the snow to stick. I don't know, I was feeling it. My freshmen agreed that they wanted the Christmas tree up, and so I also chose a winter Christmas background for today. I'm normally not one that gets in the Christmas mood until after Thanksgiving, but I felt like last year I was barely able to have my tree up because we're only back for 3 weeks after Thanksgiving. So next week is the last week until Thanksgiving, so I figured what's the harm in putting it up just 2 weeks early. Now let's get everything cleaned up. Happy Tuesday. It is back to my planning period, and we have a very busy planning period today. I first am going to update my agenda slides because I keep getting behind on this. This is something that I need to do on Friday, complete the following week, so I'm really going to try to do that this Friday. But last week I did not complete these at all, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get those done first because I do have my plans done for the rest of the week, or at least outlined, so I can go ahead and get those filled in. Alright, I'm finally done with my agenda slides, and hopefully I will now keep up on those. I also know I need to post those to Google Classroom, so I'll probably also do that really quick. But let me show you guys what they look like for the week, and then you'll also see what we're doing. All right, here's my agenda slides. Yesterday we read chapter 4, and then I showed you guys this sheet that we worked on. We only got to do the expectation side yesterday. So today, my advanced sophomores and my standard sophomores are doing something a little bit different. So this is for my advanced sophomores. We're gonna begin reading chapter 5. We're gonna read through the creature being like born, and then we're gonna watch one of the film versions where the creature is brought to life. And then I created a worksheet in my study hall so that my students could analyze and do like a compare and contrast between the text and the film. We're gonna try to finish reading chapter 5 if we have time in class. It depends on how long the worksheet takes, and I do need to make copies of that. And then for my advanced kids, the discussion questions that we have for each section, I'm gonna have them finish those for homework because we have a quiz tomorrow over the letters through chapter 5. So I'm going to run to the copy machine really quick, but for my freshmen, I already have them. I have them first thing in the morning. We took notes. We started to talk about Elie Wiesel's Night, so that's what they took notes over. And then tomorrow, they are going to watch the interview between Oprah Winfrey and Elie Wiesel, and we're going to use that interview for our first Socratic seminar, which is going to happen on Friday. I just got back from the copy machine and I did forget to hole punch these, so I went ahead and did that. This is what the worksheet looks like. There's a bunch of questions, things for them to focus on while we're reading and watching the film. And then they have a box for the text version and then the film version. And then there are a couple questions on the back. We're mostly trying to analyze the relationship between the creature and Victor. So that's our goal for that. This is for my advanced sophomores. I have like 3 minutes left, and that's a little unfortunate because I still have this entire stack that I wanted to grade. I would say that's the hardest thing about teaching. Not the hardest, but it's a difficult thing about teaching, is that there's just not enough time in the day and not enough time in a planning period to get everything done that you want to. This is partially my fault because usually on Thursday or Friday, I will make my plans for the following week, and then on Friday I'll try to get all the copies made. I didn't do that last week because I was so consumed with grading essays and trying to get those done, which is fine. I did get caught up. This worksheet is something that I came up with last period and during my study hall, and so I used my study hall working on it. But again, with that, I just have less time to grade. Tomorrow, I'll probably start working on plans for next week, or at least by Thursday, I'm gonna try to get my plans done for next week. I made this like schedule. On Mondays and Tuesdays, I like to grade everything from the previous week. Wednesdays and Thursdays, I like to start planning for the following week. Fridays, make copies. And this week is just a week where I'm not really on schedule. Last week I wasn't really on schedule, but I will get back to it. It's definitely possible to not work outside of contract hours. It's just weeks like this where there's extra work to do, like grading essays just takes a long time, and that's just the way it is. But it makes it a little bit harder, but you do the best you can. It's actually after school already, and I really locked in today and just decided to focus on that. And I'm really glad that I did because I got so much done. Today, I gave my sophomores and my advanced sophomores a quiz. They did really, really well. So I was really excited because it is a tougher book. So I'm glad to see that they are getting it and understanding the things that are happening in the book. So normally when I give a quiz, I try to get it graded as soon as I can. So actually, after the quiz, my students read 2 of the chapters on their own, and while they were reading, I was able to grade their quizzes, so I got this entire stack of quizzes finished. On top of that, my freshmen turned in an essay last week, and I went ahead and I got like half of those finished. I talked about grading and conferencing on essays in my last vlog. The way I do it though is I already had everyone's body paragraphs already graded, so all I had to do is go in and grade the introduction, the conclusion, and then overall formatting. I also finally finished the stack of papers that I wanted to grade yesterday, so all that I have left is really this little stack, and it's just notes over the letters, so it's pretty much going to go in as a completion grade. And then all of my grades will be updated for this week. And next week is the last week until Thanksgiving break. So that's really exciting, and I'm glad to get a break. And I'm hoping to go into Thanksgiving break with everything caught up. We also have conferences Monday and Tuesday before break, so anything from next week that maybe I don't get caught up, I will do during conferences. The only other thing that I did today, which is exciting, is I went ahead and I decorated for Christmas. I know that you guys already saw that I put my Christmas tree up, but I put the rest of my stuff up, and I need to go to Hobby Lobby to find some decorations for my tree, but let me show you everything. Again, next week is the last week before Christmas break, or Thanksgiving break, so it feels early, like I would never put my decorations up this early at home. However, it feels like we get to enjoy them for such a short time in my classroom, so it was fun to put them up, and it just makes people happy, so why not? Last thing I need to do before I leave is just kind of clean my desk up, and I also need to put some stuff away on the back counter. It's 3:04 right now, so it's pretty close to contract hours ending. The only reason I'm still here is for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything cleaned up and then get out of here for the night. Actually, before I start cleaning up, I realized I forgot to tell you guys something kind of important. I guess it's not important, but an update. Yesterday I did a walkthrough, well, my principal did a walkthrough, and I did the film to text analysis comparison with my advanced sophomores, and I think that went really well. I should probably go check my mailbox to see if there's anything in there from him that I need to sign, but yeah, I did that and it went really well. Happy Thursday, guys. Today is probably the last day of this vlog because my goal is to get everything done this period so that for next week I am entirely ready to go and tomorrow's just finishing out the week. My freshmen this morning, while they finished watching the Oprah interview, I was fortunately able to get some work done, some things that I needed to upload, so I did get those done. I got to respond to some emails, and those things pretty much took up my entire study hall and the time that my freshmen were watching the video. Tomorrow, the freshmen are having a Socratic seminar, so how this works is I'm going to, today, during this period, split the class into two, and then I'll assign each student a partner, and then one of the partners will be participating in the first discussion, and then about halfway through the class, we will switch circles, and then the second partner will be part of that discussion, and they will track each other's questions and responses on a sheet of paper, and I do have a rubric for that, and between all those things I will come up with a grade for their discussion. Yesterday I also got a lot of work done. I think we already talked about this. I graded so many things. Between all of my sophomores were taking their quiz, and then they had independent reading, so today we are going to read another chapter, and then actually 2 chapters, and work on some of the questions for the chapters. It'll be pretty easy, and then tomorrow we'll be finishing this section and then finishing the discussion questions. Next week then we have a couple of activities to go with next week's reading. So I really just want to make sure that we're ready for that. And next week is also the last week before Thanksgiving. And there's a point that I really wanted to get to before we leave for Thanksgiving, because then it's just a short amount of time until Christmas and our mock trial for my advanced sophomores. I do have my plans outlined for next week, and there are a couple of things that I need to print. I don't have anything else I need to print for today or tomorrow. I already made copies of that. For next week, I do need to print some things off for my freshmen. I also need to print off questions for my sophomores. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with this, so I probably won't make all the copies for my advanced sophomores. I'll probably just make those next week as needed. One thing I need to look at is getting ready the chapter 6 through 10 quiz. I might work on that today since my sophomores will need it, but if I don't get to it, I can do that Monday during my planning period. The biggest thing is next week, I really want to do some supplemental activities with my advanced kids. There are many illusions in these upcoming chapters, so I definitely might want to look at those. And then I feel like next week would be a good time to squeeze in the Prometheus poem so that we can do like maybe a comparison between Frankenstein and Prometheus. I also love how Christmassy this whole scene looks with all the Christmas trees and the lights. So I'm gonna run to the copy machine and get my copies made for next week first. Alright guys, and that is pretty much it for the week. The rest of my planning period, I am just going to spend working on finalizing my plans for next week. You saw that I already have them outlined. It's just really deciding exactly what I want to do activity-wise for my advanced sophomores. And my freshmen will just be getting through the first like 2 chapters of night, and then we'll pause there to go on Thanksgiving break. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If there are other videos that you would like to see specifically, again, just let me know in the comments. I really enjoy this time of year around the holidays, and there's just a lot of excitement like getting to the holiday breaks, and it's just a fun time. I feel like after this time of the year, we kind of hit like a wall for a little bit, so we'll see how we can avoid that this year. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.